Real Estate Pro Talk with your host, Greg Ernie, connecting people, community and property.
Well, hello, Greg Ernie. Welcome to another edition of Real Estate Pro Talk. Today we're going to cover a topic that I think is important to many people in our community, where you've been in your home for many years, and as we all get older, the time eventually comes where at some point you need to look to downsize, maybe move to a retirement village or perhaps a smaller home or unit. So today we're going to discuss and look at the process and how that works. I do know, and having looked after many clients over the years, it's never an easy decision. Certainly to pick when the right time to make such a great move is always difficult. Today I've got Roger and Janice Alderman. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Greg.
Appreciate you coming in. I know this might seem daunting enough just to be on camera, so I thank you for coming in. I've just sold your home up in North Avenue in Mount Evelyn. First of all, how long have you been in your home?
44 years.
So 44 years in the one home in Mount Evelyn. So a big decision to move and to downsize. How long had you been planning on or thinking that obviously you always know at some point, but when did you sort of think we probably need to start to look at making this move?
Well, we've been looking for perhaps, or thinking about it for 10 years or longer. And a bit more recently, every time I go outside, there was something else to do. So it was getting closer and closer.
I think probably about 4 or 5 months ago, we really started looking.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, seriously starting to look at it. And
we were both on the same wavelengths at this stage.
Yeah. And I think that's probably an important thing. Sometimes it can be, and I've seen it where one partner is more willing to move than the other. So it's interesting. I reckon that's a really good point that you make, that you both probably came to the same wavelength at the time, that, okay, we probably need to make that move. And that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's probably something you've probably, presume if I'm right, maybe I'm not, but wrestled with over the previous few years about when do we, all of that sort of thing. Would that be a fair comment?
Yes, and especially the last 2 years.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was quite happy there, except, as I said, there's more and more to do, and you get older and you can't do it.
Well, the like anything, the mowing and the block and the maintenance, it doesn't get any smaller, does it? It only seems to get bigger as the years.
And it was a large house and half an acre, and we were going away more, so there was more maintenance needed doing every time you came home.
To do it, yeah. Can I ask, what was sort of, as you got closer to this, so let's say the last 4 or 5 months, what was probably the scariest thought for you, or the most daunting thing about, okay, we know we need to do this, but what was the daunting part of all of that?
Do we sell first and then buy?
Yep.
Or buy and then sell? That was something we wrestled with.
Yep.
And we did look, but there was nothing around really that suited us. We want to stay in Mount Evelyn or in the, area. And we didn't really want to go down to another smaller house down some windy street.
Yep. So looking, originally you were looking not so much at a retirement village, but more for a unit?
Yeah, we were looking actually for 2 on a block.
Yep.
Something like that.
And I think you made the question or the comment about, do you buy first then sell, or sell then buy? And I think that's without doubt one of a lot of people's biggest concern is, well, what's the best way to go about it? And obviously if you buy first before you sell, that's okay because you know where you're going to, but then you haven't sold. Can I ask, with the village where you ended up going to, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but did it have the provision where you could sign a contract on a unit to buy on the basis of you selling yours, or was it that if you bought it, you've bought it and now you need to sell your home no matter what happened in the market?
No, there was a provision. If you didn't sell, you could get out.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the most important things, I think, for anyone that's looking at going into a retirement village. The majority of them that I'm aware of, certainly out in our neck of the woods, do have that provision where you're able to, and I think that's a real important thing, because very different to buying if you had bought, say, a normal unit just in Mount Evelyn as an example prior to selling, you would have been locked into that contract and bought it. But at least with what you're able to do, you're able to go up to, and out of interest, which retirement village did you end up going to?
Evelyn Ridge.
Yes, and they showed us around 2-bedroom ones, and we said they were a bit small.
Yep.
They had one 3-bedroom one coming up.
Yep.
With a double garage, and if we wanted to sign a contract to 21 days, it was out.
So in other words, and I know that's one of the laws for anyone that's looking to buy a retirement village unit. They have to by law give you the contract 21 days prior to you actually being able to actually sign the contract. So that enables you to get legal advice and get a check. But I think that's a really important thing from a peace of mind, Janice, where you're saying you're worried initially about buying and selling. The beauty of being able to secure that unit was that you could secure the unit, and then you had plenty of time to get your home on the market and get it sold. But knowing with the peace of mind that let's just say, for example, if your home didn't sell or you couldn't get the money that you needed, while you were then able to withdraw and pull out from that sale. And
much easier.
I think that for peace of mind, correct me if I'm wrong, but that would have been a massive weight off your shoulders.
It was, because we knew once we sold, we had somewhere
to go.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Did you visit many villages around around?
One other.
Yep.
That was all.
One other. Yeah. Yep. So you wanted to be. You've been in Mount Evelyn for 44 years, so that's home, and that's where you want to be. And obviously, I think Evelyn.
And we've got family around there too.
Yeah. So obviously, Evelyn Ridge in Mount Evelyn. That's and it's a lovely setup up there. So no, that's good. One of the things I always say to people is it's always good if you can, I guess, share the journey with family or keep them informed, or because sometimes it's good to get their advice. Did you have family assistance, or how did that go?
Well, we announced that the house was going on the market.
We told them.
Yeah.
And they were shocked. Oh, it happened. I don't think they were expecting it so quickly.
Yep.
And but yeah, they were good.
Yeah, excellent. No, that's good. And along the way, so when you got the contract and you had that 21 days to have a look at it, did you get legal advice?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
And then we contacted you the next day.
Yep. And we've been in touch. I know we've been chatting for probably about 15 years, I think, hadn't we? So, but I think that's an important thing for anyone that's looking to make this move, was that you did engage a solicitor just to have a read over the contract and know what it is that you're signing and the implications. And because I think for retirement villages especially, there's as I'm sure you know, they're a bit different than buying just a normal property. And obviously, at some point down the track when the property's got to be sold, there's different implications around that as well. So it's important from before you commit to buying that you know what that is. And I also remember seeing you last year, or at the start of last year. It was about this time last year actually. You came to our information evening that we did on moving to a retirement village and downsizing and all of that. So obviously you were starting to get your head around the process and doing a bit of homework and research and so forth. So
And we won one of your prizes.
Did we win a prize, did we?
Yes, we got the cheese board.
Oh, there you go. Well, good work. That's good.
What month was that?
I reckon that was in February, so it was just before we got into COVID and all of that sort of scenario. Yeah, and I know, and we'll come to the sale of the property at the moment. But I know over the years when you've probably had different thoughts, quite often you would call me up and we'd just have a chat and where's the market at and what's the what are prices doing. And I think that's a really important thing and I say to people that are considering this, even if it's not now, but it might be in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years, start to at least find an agent that you feel comfortable with. So at least you can start to just get an understanding of where the market's at and what's happening. And because I think this move is made a lot easier when you've got people that can partner with you and support you through it, rather than you're sort of doing it on your own and you're fumbling your way through. I don't know whether would you agree with that? Any
Yes,
thoughts on
and
that?
the fact that we had Christy was at the that night.
Yes.
And
Yep.
she's
Through
doing
our
it for
Rangers
both,
lawyers, yes.
both village and for the house.
Yeah. Yep. Good. So, are there any other, as far as the village and getting to that point, is there any tips or suggestions that you would, any advice for anyone that's about 6 months or 12 months earlier than where you're at now?
Definitely get the lawyer to go through the contract with you. As you said, it's different from just buying a house, ordinary house.
Yep.
And
I think to feel comfortable when you go around and look, and when comfortable with the managers,
Yep.
and you've got a feeling for it.
Yes.
You
Yep.
know, whether they're sincere or.
Well, at the end of the day, this is going to be your home. So it's like when you bought your home 44 years ago, you got that feeling that it felt right, and it's no different to here. You get that feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think probably, and one of the things, and I commend you on it, is I think you've made the move. I always say to people, you're better to make this move on your terms rather than you get to a point where someone else is having to make the decision for you to move, or you've got to move.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more, it's easier mentally that if you're doing it, and obviously you made the comment before that you're both on the same page, and that's I think it'd be an interesting scenario if one was on one page and one was on the other, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
we've got friends who are on different pages at the moment.
Yes, yeah, and it is a challenge, and there's no right or wrongs, and it's, as I say, it is the greatest move people make, as they look to downsize. So I want to talk a little bit now on the selling bit, because there's obviously the making the decision and the finding of the retirement village where you had. Then when it came to selling, what was the thing that you were most nervous about or worried about as far as the sale of your home?
Getting it looking right, I think. Even in the garden, you think, oh, he's a big hose, and he's, all this, even little things, which buyers might not even notice. I don't know.
Yep.
I mean,
Mine was decluttering the house and making everything look, I think, probably a little bit sterile in the finish.
Yeah. Yep.
To give it the.
Well, it's
So people coming in could see the actual space within your house.
Yes. Well, it's what I call, if you think for 44 years you've been in live mode, and really just before we're about to put the home on the market, we're in essence, we're transferring the home into a selling mode, isn't it?
Yes.
So, and I think you're right, it does perhaps have a bit of that. It doesn't feel maybe as homely as what you're used to, but from a selling point of view, the buyers, there's less distractions for them, which was important. And I know
it was important having Robin come.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to mention. That. So I think one of the things that probably makes the process again with the selling is, we got together probably, what would have been, it was about, I'm going to say it was either the end of November or start of December, but
End of November.
End of November, and yeah, it was end of November, because we got together and we worked out a timeline, which was almost 2 months in advance, really. Certainly 6 to 8 weeks in advance, and as part of that, I know you were heading away on holidays for a couple of weeks. We organised Robin
I
out.
wouldn't call it a holiday.
Well, to see family on a shearing farm, but
For 2 weeks.
they didn't have you shearing the sheep though, did they?
A lot of running around.
A lot, but I'm sure you enjoyed it. So,
Yes.
And so we got Robin to come out and see you, and obviously Robin's our stylist.
Yeah.
How did you find that?
Oh,
You found
tremendous.
it, didn't
Yes, she was very relaxed. She told us, what we should do and move, and which were all positive.
Yep. And I might add, people watching this might think when you've mentioned the outside and the gardens and all of that, and you've mentioned decluttering, that your home was untidy. It wasn't untidy at all.
No.
It was already really well presented. But what Robin did was come out and just give you what I call those tweaks, a bit of a list and a running sheet, and then because we had set that time frame, you probably had what was it? You came back from holidays, and then I think we had Christmas
and New Year.
New Year, and then I think before we launched, you then had it was probably another 2 or 3 weeks after that, wasn't it? Before we
And
launched.
then we got it to come back just before the
We got it to come back.
to see if we'd done as per instruction, didn't we?
Yeah.
That you'd followed the list.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, good. So that was probably one of the main things I was going to say, that, and you know, it's amazing when you've got a plan and you've got a bit of and you're prepared. All of a sudden, things don't seem as daunting as you progress. Would that be fair?
Yes. Yeah.
So Robin came out. We had the plan. We had a time frame. Pretty much after that, I'd be interested on your thoughts. But if I can say from my point of view of running the campaign, I would say it ran fairly seamlessly after that.
We did. On the days you put up the days, and it was pretty.
Yeah.
I remember questioning you about. You were saying you thought you'd have the inspections on such and such a day, and I thought that's before that goes into the before it's advertised, I think.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, it was something, but it was those days.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And it went on the
The
obviously the internet, and the board went up, and it was actually interesting, yours, and it's certainly a sign of the current market at the moment. But your property went on the internet. I think it was either on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday.
Tuesday.
And I reckon within an hour of it going on, I had a call from some people and bought them through that night. And the very next day they made an offer, which was even prior to the open.
Yeah.
And I remember we got together obviously to talk about that offer, and it was a good offer. But, you know, obviously, as we all spoke and discussed, you know, it hadn't even been on 24 hours. So we ran the open, and I think from memory we had 23 or 25 groups through, I think, that open. And as the week transpired, over that next week, I think we ended up with a couple of offers, and ended up selling your home above the top end of the range, which was fantastic to the people that actually originally offered. That's right. Yeah. So it. And one of the things I want to talk about that I think's important, that what we were able to do was when the offer came in, you were able to then also check in with the village to make sure they were okay for the settlement that was that the buyers were putting forward, and we're able to make sure that all matched. And I think that's another important thing for anyone that is looking at downsizing and doing this, that the retirement villages are very good at working in with us. I know I've over the years had many conversations with the retirement village managers to, you know, at the point when I'm sitting with clients and we've got an offer and the settlement's on this date, is that going to work for yourselves to move in, and then we can line it all up. So
They were very good. They gave us to April, which could be brought forward or extended.
Yeah, yep, and we were able to line it all up, and the buyers are obviously happy, and you're happy, and which has been really good. So, any other comments on the selling? I know you're at the packing stage now, which is probably the heart a little bit. And Roger, we were talking off camera that you're working your way through your garage of 44 years of all the good stuff that you've collected.
And the garden shed.
And the garden shed as well, Janice. I'm sure Roger's got a lot of stuff in there. But is there any other comments around the sale experience for anyone that might be sort of daunted on that aspect? Because that can be really daunting. You made the comment to me, Janice, just off camera, that you've never sold on market before.
Yes.
So, you know, for you it was pretty daunting. Any comments around all of that?
Well, it was a learning experience actually, even putting it on.
We'd never
ever.
only once had we bought. We'd only had one house prior,
Yes.
so we hadn't.
So it's a long time
So
in
it's a
between dealing with all this.
Absolutely. Yep.
And a whole different.
I think it must be hard for. We spoke to someone the other day, and their house was on the market for 6 weeks. Or
6
so.
weeks before an auction.
Yep.
Pretty hard. It's gone for a long time.
Yep.
I think it's what do you keep and what do you get? You know, some things are sentimental. You've just got to make a decision.
Yes. Yep. And also, I know at the moment we've got the hard garbage that's happening locally around here at the moment, and that's actually quite handy, isn't it? So, or what is it, Gumtree or whatever, for any of those items that are that are good.
It's interesting things that we think the family might need. We've got line between all our kids.
Yes. Yep.
And they go up there and, you know, we say, op shop, do you want or op shop? And we get the answer, you know, yeah.
Op
Yep.
shop usually.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
some of them are like squirrels, you know.
Be careful, they might watch this, Janice, so
They are hoarding.
they'll be thinking, am I the squirrel?
Hoarding, yeah.
So I think probably, and I'll just run through a bit of a summary for people and we'll put some general notes up, but I think the main things that we can take from today is certainly plan in advance, and you've been you came to our information evening 12 months ago, but obviously you've been thinking about it, you know, prior to that. So definitely plan in advance. Knowledge, and I commend you that you didn't assume that you knew it all. You engaged legal assistance to help on the legal side. I know I spoke to you about the value of your home and on the selling side. You did speak to family more, so you probably just said we're moving, which is good. For others, though, sometimes to have a trusted friend or family member that can help you through the process, if you are doing it, especially on your own, is important. Communication is the key. I know we spoke a lot, not just in the time we've been on the market, but over that period, probably within that 6 to 12 months, and even prior to that. One thing I haven't mentioned, but I think it is worthwhile for pensioners, many of you may qualify for an exemption on your stamp duty. So that's something, once again, to speak to your lawyer or legal person, or send a link to see whether that's something, because that can be a massive saving as well. You're able to buy subject to you selling your home, and that's definitely one of the advantages, I think, of buying through a retirement village compared to if you just buy a normal unit. And not saying it can't be done if you buy a normal unit, but certainly if you are buying a more, let's call it a standard unit, that's probably where you really need to find an agent you can trust. Definitely consult with a legal person as well, and just understand what the ramifications are of a contract that you're signing. I know we ordered your Section 32 well in advance, so that we had that prepared and ready in the event if we did get an early offer, and that we were all set to go. Presentation, not that you had to do too much, but obviously Robin, our stylist, helped you with that, and as we basically took it from that living mode to the selling mode.
Yeah, she's a big help, isn't she?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. She's a
and her manner is so good.
Yeah, I find, correct me if I'm wrong, but she would have made you feel very much, instead of going from being perhaps nervous about it, that by the time Robin left, you're like, we can actually do this, and you probably felt very comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And
I thought we might have to move all the furniture and hide stuff in,
yeah.
But not at all.
No, and I think the way you had it presented, and while we've been talking, there'll be some footage that's coming up of your home so people can see. But the other thing is, you've made the move when it suits you, and you've made the decision to move, and I think that's really important. If you can make it when it suits you, rather than someone else having to make that decision for you, is really important. And one of the questions I get asked is there a better time of year to do it? Summer, winter, spring, all of those sort of things. My answer to people is not. It's not. It's just when it suits you. And generally, buying and selling on the same market. I know retirement villages are a little bit different, but at the end of the day, just doing it when it's the right time for you, that's when it's the right time. So don't pick it on seasons. And as you've done, you haven't waited too long. You haven't sort of kept putting this off, because it can be easy to put this decision off, I would imagine, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Would be.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you haven't done that. You've made it. Obviously you've done the majority of it yourself. You're now in the packing stage, and I think that's an important one. So.
Also, with the legal advice, we were told that within 2 weeks, if you're on a part pension, that you can put the money, you've got 2 weeks to put it into your super.
2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
2 to 3 weeks, and you can put, if you've got any money left between the two,
Right.
you can put it into superannuation.
Yeah. Good.
So it won't affect part pension.
Okay, and that they're the sort of things that I don't know about, and I'm sure you didn't know about. But once again, if you've got professional advice and people advising you, that's really important to know that, isn't it? Yeah.
Because we went to our finance advisor as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And that was one of the important ones.
Yeah. No, that's a really important one. So, well, thank you for coming in. I think your circumstances, your information is invaluable. for anyone that, I guess, it's their greatest move for a lot of people, isn't it? And it can be, for you, it's 44 years. It's a massive move to move from the family home, and to make the decision is tough enough or hard enough, and then to actually go through it and execute it. And really, all you've got, the final stage to go now is just where you're in the packing and you're moving in a couple of weeks, and you'll have a removalist do that, and you'll be in, and it'll all be done. So
unpack it all again.
Yeah.
We're feeling very comfortable about it all.
Yeah. No, well, I thank you for coming in, and I've got a little token, something that I would like to say that these came from my garden, but they haven't. But thank you. You can. I really appreciate you both. I called you the other day to say, hey, would you be willing to come in and just have a chat? And I hope there's, I'm sure there'll be people out there that are at that point where you were 6 or 12 months ago, and umming and ahhing or putting it off, and hopefully our discussion will be of help. So thank you, Roger. Thank you, Janice.
I think if they come and talk to you and make that decision, it's
Yeah.
You've been a great help.
yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to look after you. 44 years in the one home, and you placed your trust in me to sell your property. It's it's a massive thing. So you'll
We'd just like it to happen now.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. You're probably itching just to get in there, but you'll love Evelyn Ridge, that's for sure. So thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you. Well done.